Oh, let's go to Commissioner Greg Lambert. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Lloyd. I just wanted to correct a few things that were misstated. I am by no means on the board of directors for natural resources.
No, and I did correct the commissioner. I said the advisory committee, and it was set up to, have to be an ears and eyes in the community. And yes, I did correct that.
Yeah. Well, I started serving on that committee when Sharon Haywood left the county commission. And I'm not going to take credit for a lot of the good work that Sharon Haywood did, because by the time I got to the Citizens Advisory Committee, they were well on their way to doing away with biosolids. But I went on that advisory committee when Sharon Haywood left the mission because I felt like somebody representing the community needed to be on that committee to fight for the rights of the people in that area to breathe clean air. And I have been very critical of biosolids from the very beginning, and I followed in Sharon Haywood's footsteps, and that advisory committee was instrumental in doing away, getting the biosolids out of there. And now, for people to distort this, and I take issue with Mr. Frank Hagel, distorting that I had a conflict of interest because I sat on an advisory committee to try to get rid of those biosolids and to try to get rid of that smell. I did abstain from voting, which still counts as a no. It was not a positive vote, so it counts as a no. I abstained from voting simply because I did not want to create more problems with the press. And I had already been told that I had a conflict of interest, even though I felt like that I did not.
And you did, and let me say, because I was there, and as I've told disclaimer that I didn't represent Commissioner Grace, but Commissioner Lambert was very upfront about all that. He did abstain because of the appearance of the conflict. And oftentimes only, all that matters is the appearance of the conflict, whether in your mind it is or not. So he did abstain, and I thought that was the appropriate thing to do. And he has been extremely critical for a couple of years about the smell that was coming from that facility, and it's been very involved in the community. So everything he's saying is absolutely correct.
Commissioner, let me ask you something on this issue that kind of bothers me, and I mentioned the last hour. I agree with you that a private citizen should not have to give money to the government for the government to do tests. On the other hand, if a private citizen wants to do it themselves, what's the justification for not allowing them on the property, public property, taxpayers' board of property, for not allowing them to do that test if they want to spend the money?
We have a tenant on that, and if the tenant wants to allow a private citizen to come on and do testing, that's up to that tenant. The thing about this is that, and I don't understand why, and I said to Brad Mays, I've said to everyone, once the smell was no longer an issue, this became no longer a county commission issue. These are environmental issues, and there are agencies that are charged with this, TDEC and EPA. There are federal and state agencies that are charged with overseeing the environmental aspects of this. I'm not qualified to do environmental testing. Now, what they told us, they said that if, and we took their test in an amateur manner. We just basically put dirt in a bag. And what they said is these tests are not likely to be accurate, and they're likely to show a falsely high reading because their equipment was not decontaminated before we took the readings. And Russ, they said, and again, I don't understand this stuff. I'm speaking way above my pay grade here. Said that where Russ was present, that Russ would draw in the arsenic and give it the appearance that it's in a higher concentration. And so...
Well, then, let me ask you this. Why did they decide to do a test without doing the proper procedure to find that information?
If I understand right, the first allegations were that they had buried ash. And that's one of the problems, and I understand.
But you're trying to find, basically what this was about was trying to find arsenic because the pots...
No.
Oh, wasn't? Oh, okay.
The original allegation was not arsenic. The original allegation was they had buried ash.
But
Test could be done with a visual test. And now I applaud these activists. They're doing their job as community activists. The problem is that they're taking it to the wrong agency. The Knox County Commission can do a good many things, but we can't do anything about these environmental issues.
Can the Knox County Commission allow this gentleman who wants to do the testing? Can they force? Can they not allow him to go on that property?
Whether we have the authority or not, I don't think it's appropriate. I think we have a division of powers within this government that's lasted a couple of 100 years, and in my opinion, the greatest on the planet. We have a division of powers, and these environmental issues fall to the state and the federal government. So can we? Well, I'd say we can probably make people make them allow it. They are their tenant, but should we? I don't think we should. I think that the people who are complaining need to take these complaints to the appropriate agencies.
Victoria, let me let you respond to that.
I understand that the way we did the test, it was not scientific. But my frustration in following through with the inaccurate and not scientific measures was because I really felt that they had ordered the wrong type of environmental analysis. That a pure visual test was not going to determine anything. And so I thought that was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, and it ultimately was not going to find whether the fly ash was there if it had been mixed. And so that is why I went on and did the test. Now, the numbers that I got back were very close to the numbers that TDEC had cited in the letter, warning them about the high arsenic levels. My levels came back near 20, and anything above 16 should have been put in the Class 1 landfill. So I'm not a scientist, but to me it seems that the numbers show maybe a strong correlation or relationship to the product that they were making that they were warned about. Another item of concern to me was that this deposited material, those core samples that went down 20 feet were not of native virgin soil. It was deposited there. It was outside of the permitted area. It was 30 foot tall and maybe 600 yards across. It's enormous. And I just have concerns. I don't know how to get the EPA. I've talked to some people at the EPA, Michael Hom down in Atlanta. So even when I was a commissioner, I tried to go those routes, and then I ultimately was able to contact Senator Burchett and he agreed to ask the University of Tennessee to do an environmental assessment of the area. I followed up last week trying to figure out what happened with that. They're still trying to figure out which department to go through. So as a county commissioner, I know that we are not a regulatory agency as the EPA would be. But to me, it just appears that there may have been some ignoring of health-related issues, health concerns of the community, and some possible public corruption.
Well, if I might interject here, we also have the situation that as the owner of the property, and as having the permit in Knox County's name, if someone comes and tells you, hey, you're operating outside of the parameters of your permit, you're placing this material within the 500-foot buffer of the neighbors, which this is very close to the neighbor's home, that as the owner of the property and the holder of the permit, that Knox County would want to bring yourself in compliance rather than just say, well, you have to call the EPA and they have to make us do it rather than us do it on our own.
Let's do it. We got a call up. Can we take 3 people? We can't? Okay. Okay. Just hang on. Well, I'm going to let Lumpy have you got something else to add, Lumpy?
Well, I just want to say, like I said, from the